Welcome to an 8-minute abs workout for beginners. To start, we'll come onto our back and engage in pelvic tilts. So as you exhale, tuck your tailbone under to tilt your hips and then engage your abs. Inhale to neutral spine and then exhale, tuck your tailbone again. So you should feel like your abs are engaging a little more every time you exhale, tilt, and your lower back is sort of smashing into the mat as you do so. Good, staying on your back, we're coming into marching. So keep your abs engaged so that your hips stay super still and lift one knee at a time up towards the ceiling. Good, nice and slow. You want to take the momentum out of this and really feel like your abs are keeping your torso very still. Good, remember to breathe. And here you don't want to lift your knee too close towards your chest, just till that thigh is pointed straight up towards the ceiling. And you can keep your knee bent at 90 degrees to help with that. Good, you should feel your lower abs engaging more and more as you continue this marching on your back. Next, we'll sit on up and come into reverse Frankenstein. So we're just working on the downward portion of this exercise, exhaling as we slowly roll down to the mat. And then you can use your leg, use your arms to come up any way you need to, and then exhale again, trying to engage your abs to resist gravity as you slowly roll down to the ground, one vertebra at a time. Next, we're going to stay on our backs and lift one leg up towards the ceiling, keeping our hips still by engaging our abs. Lower that leg out to its own side as you inhale, and then exhale, return that leg to center to point up straight towards the ceiling. Good, so your hips should stay as still as possible, and you should feel your lower abs engaging in different ways as the leg moves in the trajectory out to the side and back up again. Good, and let's do the same thing on the other side. So you see that I'm keeping my leg in pretty much the same plane, so it's not dragging down towards the bottom of my mat. And that helps to prevent the hip flexors from engaging too much and keeping this work with the lower abs, the inner abs, and with the inner thigh. Good. Sometimes it's harder to not move than to move, and this stabilization exercise is exactly an example of that. Okay, next we're going to come onto our hands and knees into a quadruped position and alternate tapping one hand toward the opposite shoulder. So this is also another stabilization exercise. We're trying to keep our torso and our hips very still, even though we're shifting our weight from one hand, one arm to the other. Good. And all of these stabilization exercises require us to engage our abs. Good, making sure the shoulders stay away from the ears. We'll stay in quadruped position as we come into bird dogs. So here we're raising our opposite arm and leg and lengthening them in opposite directions. Again, we're engaging our abs to stabilize our hips. And here, the entire time, you want to keep your back in neutral. So not too much of a back bend or a back arch. Good. And we're alternating sides with each repetition here. So right arm with left leg and left arm with right leg. Good, we're here till the end of this piece. This is the Liszt Consolation number 3. And great work. So now we're moving on to some side lying exercises. We're going to come onto one side, doesn't matter which, And you're going to stack your hips on top of each other and bring the upper arm and knee towards each other as you exhale, and then inhale, lengthen them away from each other. So you're keeping your spine in a neutral position, but you're doing a little bit of a side crunch with that arm, elbow to knee motion, and then really lengthening out on the opposite end of the exercise. Good. Here you're trying to keep your torso pretty still on the mat as well. Good. Now let's go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. Okay, your lower leg can be bent to help you stabilize your hips. If you want an extra challenge, you can straighten the lower leg too. Again, exhaling, bring the knee and elbow towards each other. Inhaling to lengthen away. Next, we'll come up to a seated position and come into assisted boat pose. So keeping a neutral spine, engaging your abs, just slightly lean back from your hips. So you're opening the hinge at your hips. You can keep your feet on the ground for this variation, and if you need to, you can hold on to your thighs with your hands to help support the weight of your torso. Again, your abs are engaged the entire time. Pull your belly button in and keep breathing. The shoulders are nice and broad. Chest is open. You're not curling in forward with your shoulders. And finally, to close, we're coming into a knee plank position and then exhaling back to child's pose. Inhale forward with your abs engaged to that knee plank and exhale back to child's pose. Good. You should feel a nice long stretch with your spine and for your shoulders as well as you exhale back to child's pose. And that's it. Great work. Thank you so much for joining me in this workout today.